A band that I used to hate, but now I friggin' love, as I believe is the phrasing. It's not one that I necessarily like love and obsessed with, but it's one that I've come to appreciate the goodness of after many people have been like, right, well, you got to listen to this, you should like this, it's really good, blah, blah. And that's the 1975. Like, when they first were doing the rounds, I absolutely could not stand them. I thought they were a bunch of pretentious indie dickholes, and I just wasn't about it at all. Like, I remember the one thing that made me viscerally hate them was we always used to go to this rock club called Planet in Wolverhampton. Shout out to Planet in Wolverhampton. And they would always play all of the best noughties pop punk ever, and I'd have a great time. I'd go and listen to all of the songs from my youth, and just, it was wonderful. And they'd always mix in Chocolate by the 1975, and it was always when I went outside to have a little like air break and be like, no, I've had enough of this, I ain't standing around for this indie shit. And then I'd go outside and then only come back when they hadn't put it on, because I was the pretentious dickhole, is obviously the truth of that. And then it's only recently that I've seen them like blow up, and their most recent album came out, which was that really long one, the You Are Really Pretty When You Sleep, or whatever it's called. I've forgotten the name. What's the name of it, Josh?
It's you are.
I like it when you sleep because you're really good.
I like it when you sleep because you are so beautiful yet so unaware of it.
There we go.
That is really pretentious.
Exactly, but they've embraced their whole. They've embraced the dickholery. They've gone, look, right, this is what everyone thinks of us. Let's just go with it. And Matty's like doing all sorts of weird shit all the time, being ridiculous. And they've just embraced this whole vibe that they've got of being a little bit quirky, a little bit askew. And I respect them a lot more for it now. And can also have a big jam to Chocolate when that comes on. So I think it's come full circle. I used to hate it. I grew up a bit and I thought, hey, let me listen to this, let me reassess, let me go, well, it's actually a bop, isn't it? Like, it's very catchy. And I've come back around to the 1975, so there you go.
Right, so if I want you to picture like 17, 18-year-old me, right? Catch him running around, being a bit of an emo, but telling everybody he could find that actually My Chemical Romance suck. Yeah, the singing's not very good, right? All their songs are rubbish and all sound the same. By the way, that first album's crap. The look they've got is so stereotypical. They were clearly manufactured, built in a warehouse somewhere. Don't get how anybody could like them. Now, it's not escaping your attention that all of those arguments for why My Chemical Romance suck are piss weak. And all they were was to mask the reason I really hated them, and that's because every single girl I fancied and didn't fancy me back fancied Gerard Way. So now, catch like 30-plus-year-old me in literally any alternative nightclub, rise, whatever you want to be, grabbing and pulling out his still beating heart and screaming all the lyrics to Welcome to the Black Parade. All I had to do to love My Chemical Romance was get over myself, get over you, Jenny, you, Caitlin, you, Helen, got over all of them, put it beside me, was like, right, okay, it's not actually the music, is it? It's just that Gerard Way's attractive in all the ways that emo me was not. And then I realised that they weren't the problem, I was the problem, and I like My Chemical Romance now. Thank you.
This is huge because I've seen you pull out your still.
Oh, I do, don't I?
Clubs as well, yeah.
When I was a young boy.
Which band did you used to hate that you now love?
Well, I was going to do a wider conversation around getting used to like screamy vocals and more like aggressive. You know, the first time you hear screamy vocals when you're younger, I mean, maybe a lot of people just take to it like a duck in water. Well, Disturbed is they're a good gateway band for this sort of thing. But like most bands, when you first hear something like Trivium, that's my main take is Trivium. Because the first time I heard Pull Harder on the Strings of Your Martyr, I just laughed at it. I just thought the music video for it when Heafy's doing his all like, I was just like, what is that? And I just couldn't get it, and so I just laughed at it. I just wasn't ready for it. And you know, like all Acquired Taste, it's a good thing once you get there. But for me, I was going to do this whole wider thing about getting used to screamy vocals on the whole. But I'll just pick Trivium because once that band started to click, and I don't even know necessarily what it was. I think it was after Suffering Through the Crusade, and they have like that To the Rats song, a little bit heavier, and then you sort of keep going with them. In Waves, that Egg Whites in Waves thing, and a bit of that, and that just all clicked. Everything just sort of clicked. The new album's phenomenal. And then everything just sort of opened out, and I've just been completely fine with the heaviest vocals possible. Maybe not the stuff that you're into, because that's all really retchy.
Yeah, I like band logos you can't read.
Yeah, so there's like sort of Dead Spider band logos, like them. But yeah, I would just say that it's screamy vocals, and if I'm going to pick one band, it's Trivium, because they're now one of my absolute favourite bands. But I just started out just laughing at little Matt Heafy's little face. So.
This is actually a really recent one because all of last year a band called Idols were blowing up and you couldn't escape them. You couldn't go on music websites without everyone saying how they were the best band and the most essential band at the moment. And obviously I have since gotten over myself like Adam Clery often tells me to do, and I understand that, I'm not going to judge a book by its cover. I'm not just going to instantly hate a band. But for whatever reason, that younger mentality came straight back to the surface with this band because I just thought of them as a bunch of, angry dad band essentially. Just a bunch of dudes like singing, being like aiming for the dads in the audience. How wrong I was though, because over the past couple of months, I first heard their single Mother, which was off their first album, I think, and I thought, you know what, this is actually really good. It's very punky, it's very aggressive. I can get behind the lyrics, I can get behind the sentiments. But then when I started to listen to other tunes, I didn't feel it. That first impression kept creeping back in, and I was worried that they were just a shouty dad band who didn't appeal to me and wasn't my demographic. And they had lyrics like, criticizing Top Shop models or people on Love Island in Never Fight a Man with a Perm. And I just thought there are better things to, center your aggression on. This isn't it, Jim. This is not the one. This is just, me at 14 on Facebook being really angry at people because they dare to, want to look good. And yes, did I take a bit of personal, umbrage because I shop at Topshop? Probably. But then I dug a little deeper. And then I started listening to the lyrics properly and started watching their live shows because I just thought I need to see what the entire crack is. And now they're one of my favorite bands. And now I just really love them. There have been sort of accusations that they are kind of like appropriating a working class, ethos or delivering a message that isn't theirs or speaking down to people or, kind of fake or inauthentic. But I just don't get that when I listen to the music. It's got such heart to it and such a drive to it, and everything they start breaking down, whether it's masculinity or social politics or immigration, every single message I can get behind, and it's delivered in a musically rich way, in a really aggressive way. And yes, they do again still have a little bit of cringiness to them, and they do acknowledge that a lot of people see them as this dad band, but now I finally know they're not. They're really good. I can't wait for the next album. The one downside of this is because I overlooked them all last year, now they don't tour, and when they do tour, it sells out instantly, so I missed the boat on that. Brilliant. Please, Idols, I'm so sorry. Get me into one of your gigs.
Okay, so anything that we sit and do here that has anything to do with hating stuff, I kind of struggle with, because I don't hate anything. I don't ever look at something or listen to something and go, I flipping hate this. But the closest I can sort of think of was just pretty much everything that I like now, I never liked when I was younger. I mentioned this in the previous weeks, where all I did was just listen to what everyone else was listening to, like Top of the Pops, Now 65 or whatever, 90, whatever it was. Spice Girls, all that sort of pish, and I thought things like Slipknot, things like Metallica and AC/DC and all that were for, for old metalheads and people that weren't me. And then I grew up and sort of actually decided to try listening to them. Slipknot in particular, because they always seemed so scary. But yeah, Slipknot in particular. I'm blown away by how talented these 9 individuals were, yep. And I was just like, holy crap, man, what have I been missing out on? And I flipping love them now. I love their new album. It's not, it's not quite their best, but yeah, I'm really enjoying Slipknot stuff so far. And then AC/DC as well, one of the best gigs I've ever been to. That was incredible. Those guys are 60 and they're still doing it. They're great. I had no idea growing up that all these bands were actually this good.
Did you like Angus Young in his little pants?
Oh, he had tiny little pants on. He did a little strip tease for us, took his shorts off. Oh, it's good though.
Is it?
60-year-old,
Still
wrinkly,
Still would.
wrinkly man in
yeah.
school shorts.
James Dowse.
Hello.
Which band do you love that you initially hated?
Well, a few of my friends a few years ago was just listen to this brand new band. They weren't new, but there was just an experience. They just said it was a cool experience to listen to them. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And that band was Tame Impala, fronted by the one and only Kevin Parker. So I listened to it, and I listened to The Less I Know I Get, The Less we know, the better. And I listened to it, and I won't lie to you, Josh, I couldn't stick the song. I thought it was just a guitar and a synth together. And I was just like, There's a drum beat, fair game, there's some cool vocals, but the guitar and the synth, they do nothing for me. Even though I'm dead into psychedelic music, that did nothing. I was like, great stuff. And then I listened to the rest of the album, which was Let It Happen. Once again, I was on the fence. And then, Josh, I listened to 'Cause I'm a Man. And that made me a man, that song, because that was so, so cool. And that's when I changed my opinion. Admittedly, it was in the same listen. So I started the album by hating it, and then I ended the album by loving it. And last year, luckily, I went to go see them, and oh, Josh. It's a little humble brag, but I went to see them, and that was the best thing ever. And they played The Less We Know, The Better, and the confetti goes off, and all this stuff. When you're listening, I was like, okay, Kevin Parker, you have changed my mind. And I'm now the guy who, when I walk into a party, I'm like, go on then, Tame Impala, put it on.
Who has ever listened to The Less I Know The Better for the first time and not thought it's an instant banger?
This has a bit of a caveat because one of the people in the band I still hate quite a lot, and most people I think do, to be honest. So you can probably guess who it is. No, it's the Smiths. Back in the olden days, the Smiths to me were a bit of a joke because Morrissey's singing voice was the most imitated singing voice ever. I used to do it without even listening to their songs that much.
Do it now.
No, that's a trick there, isn't it? I'm not going to fall into that trap. And I didn't ever give them the time of day because Morrissey even back then had this image of being sort of Saint Morrissey, which is quite ironic given his new political leanings. And I just didn't think that anybody who was like him could be as profound as the other lyricists that I really liked and the bands that I'd sort of fallen in love with. And then eventually, not even that long ago, it was so, I think, to be honest, 500 Days of Summer was a big part of that whole renaissance for the Smiths in my mind. That film obviously uses Smiths music really importantly, and music in that whole film is a very important part of the character arcs. And I just sort of fell in love with his lyrics in those songs, and I knew Johnny Marr was like really talented. I fully accepted that. I'd been to see him outside of the Smiths. But Morrissey was always the anchor, let's say, that dragged them down for me, and I'm sure they don't care.
That's interesting. What did you do when you saw Johnny Marr and you played the Smiths songs?
I thought these are good songs, but I never really conflated it, so it wasn't like he was playing Smith songs, he was just playing songs that he was part of. But no, I sort of enjoyed their music while actively hating Morrissey, and now I love the Smiths while sort of passively hating Morrissey. So I haven't come that far, but I do genuinely love them now.
Oi, oi.
Which band did you used to hate but now you love them?
Ghost. So, in terms of rock and metal and stuff, which has always been a big part of the music I listen to, is big portions been rock, metal, hardcore, punk and stuff like that. I've always preferred the sides of that genre that make you a real bummer at parties. Like, I like black metal, I like death metal, I like stupid stuff. None of it's happy, none of it's uplifting, none of it's positive. So when I heard the first Ghost album, I don't remember the name, I heard the single Ritual, and here's this fanny dressed as a priest. There's a bunch of guys in robes fannying on their bloody things, like Casper and Stinky and Johnny and the other one from that film. And I just hear the chorus and he's going, "In the chapel of Ritual." I'm like, no, I can't handle this. It's not miserable enough, it's not depressing, it's not making me want to headbutt a wall. This isn't what I look for in this style of music. So I went for years and years, and what I would do is, I would dip back in because they gradually started picking up hype with every album progressively, and I'm like, I'll dip back in, and I was like, it's just too silly for me, you know, it's just too daft, it's too ridiculous. And then Prequel came out last year, and I heard it at first. I played it all the way through because I'd heard Square Hammer, I think, on a wrestling show beforehand. I was like, that's pretty catchy, okay, Ghost, you know, maybe we can bury the beef here, maybe we can settle this argument. And then I put the new album on. I listened to it a couple of times and I sat there thinking, it's actually pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty damn catchy. And then I thought about it and thought about the reasons why I didn't enjoy Ghost, the theatrics and the cheesiness and the over the top, and I was like, Andy, you're a 31-year-old man who willingly watches professional wrestling and you can't enjoy Ghost for the same reasons that make this great. So after that, I just brought the stupid Casper bastards in, didn't I? I gave them a big old hug. That whole album is just a delightful slab of earworms. Although it did curse me a little bit, obviously the first thing that brought me in was the man's delivery of the word rats, or should I say rats, One night, walking home in lovely Newcastle upon Tyne here, spot a cheeky little rat running along the street, don't I? Had my headphones on, listening to something else, blurt out, "Rats!" really loudly in the middle of a massive group of people. I wanted to jump into the River Tyne and drown myself, so while ghosts aren't big, they're not clever, they're really silly and cheesy, and you know, there's an aspect of their performance that is really quite bad. I kind of love them now, and I'm very happy for that. Can't be a miserable goth all the time.